welcome to the Workshop Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, and joining me today is my regular co-host, my wife, Tamara.
Yay.
And for the first time ever, she's going to be participating in an interview alongside me with the I want to say infamous.
Oh, no.
Because then we're like, but more like you're a movie person, so more like infamous, like the Three Amigos infamous, right?
Yeah, I guess. Like, I just have been around for a while, I guess. Tenacious.
Yep.
Tenacious
The tenacious Nicole Spagnuolo of the Wood Whisperer barbecue channel fame.
Yes. I forgot the barbecue channel.
Yep, that's the first time. That's how I introduced Mark for the first time, and he
That's awesome. Did you know that I've done other podcasts? Did I tell you that?
Yeah, I knew you had. It was Ladies of Leaks, you said, right?
Yeah. So when I first started participating into podcasting, I had high anxiety about using my voice and talking about my opinions. And I did a podcast called The Movielicious with a really good friend of mine named Patrick Beja, who he's French. He's amazing. And he does, still to this day, a tech podcast. And he used to do this thing called Affiliates Club. And he would bring people from all different countries. He's so connected. He knows so many people. And he's so kind. And he would bring them in and they would talk politics. And could you imagine? And he did it beautifully. Like, it was a great show. So you would have someone from Poland, you would have someone from Ireland, you would have someone maybe from the US, and they would just talk about what the world news. And it was very stressful for him because he was the moderator.
Yeah.
But so I met Patrick at it was 2007, I think it was. We went to a podcast conference, and this is when podcasting was pretty much all on iTunes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we did a video podcast, The Wood Whisperer. And so we just started kind of going to these conventions because, number one, we didn't have kids at the time. And we were like, let's get out and network, meet some people. And we were a huge
you can
gamers.
network a lot easier when you don't have kids, that's for sure.
Yes. And we were big video game. Mark and I loved playing World of Warcraft. And we would listen to a World of Warcraft podcast and that had Patrick on it as a segment.
Oh,
that's how. So I was like a fangirl of Patrick.
And so I feel like that a little way today about you, because I'm like, I've seen her and she's so well spoken all the time. I'm terrible.
No. And I think that's why I'm drawn to you when I listen to you, because I love hearing your voice. I love hearing.
Oh, really? I hate hearing my.
Oh, get over it, girl. You'll be fine. Just keep doing it. You just keep doing it. And that's what I'm getting at. So I met Patrick, and then we had another friend, Mark, who lived in England, and we decided to do a movie because I love movies. Like, I love movies. Mark will laugh because I'll say, hey, have you seen, what was it? Gene Wilder, Young Frankenstein. I remember. I go, have you seen Young Frankenstein? He goes, no. I go, how have you not seen this movie? And then I had to stop everything and we watched the movie. So it's a constant, have you seen this? No, I haven't seen it. How have you not seen this? He's like, I just missed a lot of movies in the 80s. I don't know what to tell you. But the reason why I didn't miss them is because I was stuck out in the country. I had no friends.
So you were stuck out in the country with no friends and no TV.
Yeah, pretty much.
The TV?
No. We had a few Disney. So I had a brother who had Down syndrome, and he got a TV, but he liked Disney princesses and musicals.
Yeah.
So I can quote all of the early Disney princesses, and I can sing like Seven Brides for Seven Brothers and like Oklahoma and stuff like that.
But you didn't get to use the TV though?
No.
I'm sorry. See, I would have introduced you to Rocky Horror. Those would have been the musicals I would have introduced you to. I grew up a latchkey kid. So I'm Gen X. My mom always worked. My dad was always out, usually at the bar. So I was the oldest. It was me and my younger brother. And we were out in the middle of nowhere. And we had a satellite dish. And I'm not talking like
those big giant ones, right?
The big giant ones that you turn.
Yep.
And so I've always been like curious about technology and how things work. And I just want to, it's not that I pull things apart. It's just, I want to understand it and I explore it. And so what I would do is I would jump from satellite, because you had to turn it to like D4, and then like it had certain numbers, and I knew that these stations would do what are called wild feeds, and they would play the shows beforehand before they aired on regular television. And I knew, I actually got down like when they would play certain shows. So I used to watch Next Generation, Star Trek Next Gen on a wild feed before it even aired. Like I do.
Crazy.
Tales from the Dark Side. Like I was really into like safe horror. Like I don't know, there was a Friday the 13th series that I absolutely was obsessed with, and like I could nerd out about all of that stuff, but it kind of led me to, you know, doing this podcast with Patrick and Mark. And I was very nervous to be on this podcast because they are very quick and I am not quick. My processing speed is always a little slower, and I never understood why until recently. So part of the reason why I combine words, like I can't say names a lot of times, or I put extra syllables into words, and it's ha 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 funny to Nicole. It's like, oh no, she has epilepsy and she has a processing delay. And it's like, I laugh about it because that's all I grew up just trying to funny. Yep. Funny helps. I'm a huge SNL fan. I would stay up. My parents didn't. I don't even know if my parents knew how late I'd stay up. Saturday Night Live till 1 a.m. Like, you know, they just. I think back. I'm like, where were they? Did they not like care? Like, hey, see you later. All right, I'm gonna go do my thing. But those are all the things that kind of led me to loving movies, loving music, any kind of media. It just kind of connects with me. So it was that first podcast I was on that let me find my voice. And both Mark and Patrick were so kind and so funny, and they're so funny. And so I was the laugh track for a lot of those early episodes, but trying to find my own opinion, my own voice.
That's hard.
It is. So don't be hard on yourself. It takes practice. A lot of this takes practice. Just keep doing it. Keep moving along, chugging along.
Yeah. Well,
I'm trying.
We have a conversation fairly often about, you know, speaking of opinions and stuff. There's like 20% of people. I think population kind of breaks down in this way. There's 20% of people who are really good at whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
And then there's 50% of the population or 60% of the population who are going to follow whoever is loudest.
Yeah.
And then there's 20% of the population who are just pure garbage.
Yeah.
You know, and whether it's like teachers or doctors or therapists or construction workers or whatever, it all always seems to break down in that way. And so I think there's 20% of the people out there who have a voice.
Yeah.
Right. And if the 50% or 60% of the people hear those people, they will follow them and become better. Mm-hmm. But if they hear the 20% garbage, then it's going to it's going to go the other direction.
Well, and there's a book also, especially when you start getting into, so my background is before I started working for the Wood Whisperer full time in 2013, I was a professional computer trainer. I worked for a company. We made software for colleges and universities. I would travel all over the United States and even Canada. I got to go to Canada a few times. And I would go to these universities and I would teach the adults how to use the software. My brain, my probably undiagnosed ADHD brain, says, okay, I'm done with this. I've learned it. What's next? And it was such a big company. I was able to always build on my skills. I wanted to know everything there was to know about the software. And when you look at, I was in the perfect job, but the problem I had was I had a fear of speaking in public. Like, you know how they say speaking in public for some people is worse than death? That was me. And when I went to a college that specifically did not require that I take a speech class, that was one of the reasons why I chose the college. Because I just, God, it was the worst. So this is me, 18, trying to navigate. And then I had a class where I had to do a speech, and I did the classic procrastinate. Now it's urgent, and now I have to cram, and I have to figure it out. I still
not at all an ADHD symptom.
No, not at all. Not at all. I just accepted it.
Right?
But it's been funny because I've found my workarounds and I found more healthier ways. But it would have been nice had I known when I was younger. I could have saved myself. I would grit my teeth so hard at night that I would wake up with a pain in my jaw. I would have so much stress. Yeah.
Yes.
Night bit.
Yes.
Got a night bit.
Uh-huh.
And so I avoided speech, but I knew in my head it was holding me back. I knew it was one of the things. I'm sorry, I keep hitting the table and I shake my camera.
It's all good.
It's all right. There's no video going out, so it doesn't matter.
See, if I had a pin, I'd click it too.
I've been picking off the nail polish on my fingers.
Yeah. Yep. I'm just going to put my hands under my legs.
Yep.
So I knew it was going to hold me back, but I was a giant nerd and I wanted. So in 1994, I taught myself HTML and I built a website based off of WAV files of movies that I loved.
Oh my God.
But this is 1994. So you could get a free, I think it was 13 megabytes on tripod at the time. And so I built my first website called Nikki's World of Sights and Sounds. I won many awards.
Oh my goodness.
This is this is the time of frames.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I loved technology so much. And I took my work study job very seriously. I worked in an alumni and development office. And I didn't just use it as a way to kind of, I listened. They trained me. And because they trained me, they hired me full time my sophomore year. And I got all of my college paid for.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then they sent me to Washington, D.C. for training. And because I just love technology so much, I was teaching the teachers stuff. Hopefully I wasn't doing it in an obnoxious way, but I would, hopefully. But he even said, he goes, wow, you know a lot about this. He goes, you should work for the company. I'm like, oh, I'm still in college. I'm from middle of nowhere, Missouri. I can't come here. This is Washington, D.C. I'm like,
yeah.
And he's like, no, you really should. He goes, here's my card. When you're done with graduation, you should reach out to me. And so I did. I graduated. It took me 5 years because I was working full time and going to school in the evenings and in the summer, and I still don't know how I did it. It's just unlimited. And then I go out and party. I know what? It's I'm if it's 9:00 now, I'm like, bedtime, gotta
Yep.
go to bed. But
Yep.
so that journey was interesting because I knew the position was going to be talking in front of people, teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And it scared me, but I know my biggest motivator, money, not being homeless. That's a huge motivator for me.
Right?
So I was like, okay, fine, I'm going to do this. And so part of their interviewing process was I had to come up with a presentation and give it to a group of people. It could be on anything. And I had a friend was like, do it on a pencil. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, shut up. Like, no. So what I did was I did my presentation on how to build a website for free and I was it was my special interest, right?
Yep.
So it was organic and it was easy and I did it. And then they hired me and then they thought I was going to work remotely in Missouri. I'm like, no, I'm getting out of here. I'm coming to
Ready to go.
So I moved to DC without knowing a single person.
Oh my goodness.
I knew it was going to be hard, but I had a coach in high school I'll never forget it. He said, this is going to be hard, but I need you to give me 2 weeks. He's like, if you can't make it in 2 weeks, you have all my permission to quit, but you got to give me 2 weeks. And I was like, all right. So that's how I approached it. I was like, I know this is going to be hard, really hard, because I'm moving away from my family. I don't know anyone.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give myself a year. If I can't make it in a year, give myself permission to go back home. And about 6 months in, when I had my first team teach, I locked up. I went to teach and I was like, and I just did this. And I looked at the team teacher. I'm like, could you take over? And she took over and I went up and I'm being very vulnerable here because it's so embarrassing. And I went upstairs to my office and I crawled underneath my desks and I started crying because I couldn't do it. And I had the most amazing female boss. Usually you hear stories like, oh, women bosses. They're just, no, she was not. She was amazing. So I called her and I'm thinking I'm going to get fired. And she's like, wait. Let's roll back. How was the presentation you did during your interview? I was like, it was amazing. I did great. She goes, you don't know the content. You're not comfortable. You're not confident with the content. So she's like, okay, so this is what we're going to do. You're going to take 2 chapters out of this class and you're going to write down everything you're going to say. And then you're going to practice it. You're going to record yourself and you're going to listen to it.
Oh,
and then I still have that stupid mini recorder too. It's like one of those old ass. And she said, and then we're going to invite 2 people that you're comfortable with, that you know, to listen to you. And so she built my confidence up slowly. And so it became I did that. I could do this. Yeah. And then I had, this was actually the best part. I was at a client site and everyone was in front of me. The lights were off and it was just a projection. And I was in the back talking and I nailed it because no one was looking at me, but it gave me that next step of confidence. I'm like, okay, well, I taught 10 people there. I could do this. So it was just a matter of, and I think people think speaking is just a natural. And for some people, I think it can be pretty natural, but it is a lot of work. And I had a lot of books on public speaking for dummies and all of the books. And there's some really good ones out there. I can't remember the one that I like the most, but the whole imagine people naked. Don't do that.
It does not work.
No.
It's just uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's just creepy.
It's the worst. Don't do that.
Right? I don't know.
Who thought of that? It's terrible.
I don't know. We've had this conversation though, because I teach, right? That's what I do. But I grew up, my dad was a teacher. So I grew up at school. So we lived out of town. So my dad drove us in. We were there an hour early. So I'd help with bulletin boards and whatever. I was always at school.
That's awesome.
And then we'd wait for dad to drive us home at the end of the day, right? And so school is safe and comfortable for me. So talking in school is fine because school is like home.
Right.
But when we go to something else and I have to speak in front of people, I'm just like, my mind goes blank. I feel like I'm going to throw up. Like,
yep.
I don't want to.
So you have to learn to ride that energy the other way. And that's what I had to do.
Yeah. So well, I feel like my first degree was in music and I did performance, which is, I couldn't do it now, like at all. I don't know how I got through that.
Isn't it weird how we
like just, my word, I would melt down. Like just thinking about it gives me anxiety. I don't really play in front of other people anymore just because it's so uncomfortable. But I think about it and like what you're saying, like you got to ride through it. And I think I am at that point that I just need to push through on some things because
sometimes it can be healthy to push through.
But then there's that like,
but you also you find your tricks. So I got through a lot of my presentations and speaking in front of people by going into the bathroom and shaking out all of my energy. I looked ridiculous, but my body was carrying so much nervous energy that I felt like if I could just, and I would just, and I gave this tip to a friend of mine who was having similar anxiety. And she later came back. She's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for that tip because it helps me so much." And sometimes it's just a matter of just being, looking ridiculous in the bathroom stall and trying to just get it out. And once it's out, then kind of hyping yourself up to say, "This is going to be great. I'm going to use this energy as a way to propel me forward, not to make me shrink." So. That I still can't believe I got through all that.
I know.
It blows my mind for someone who literally thought of public speaking as death. But again, money is an amazing motivator,
right? Yes,
it is.
It is.
But that's how that job brought me to Mark. So I don't know if he told you how we met.
I remember maybe you guys talked about it at some point in one of your morning shows, or maybe it was when I talked to him about it. But you met in California, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, he had a room for rent. I have always dreamt to live by the beach. Growing up, watching all of the California sitcoms, like. I don't know, what are some of the Three's Company, the ones where they're always on the beach. And I was just like, I just want to be on the beach. And little did I know, there were so many mountains on the other side of that beach. But so when I started teaching, it was 1999. Zoom did not exist. This did not exist.
No.
You had to go to the place to do the teaching. So we had an office in San Francisco, and I would travel to San Francisco a lot, and I loved going to San Francisco. In fact, that's on my bucket list of taking. I'm giving my kids like the tour of where I love to travel. So last year I took Mateo to DC, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is so fun! We got to do this all the time." But I had a friend in San Diego. Flew down. The minute I walked off the plane, I was like, I'm moving here. Like, why the hell am I in DC? Because it's nothing but like it was, and I was still single. So it was all like politicians and bro dudes. And none of them jived with me at all. So I was like, I just need a room. And Mark had a room by the beach and the airport. And I was like, I was like, I don't want to have to worry about, furnishing it. Just, I need a room. And he had a room. And there was a website called Roommate Click that tried to pair you up with good, roommates. Like, are you the type of person that minds that there's dirty dishes in the sink? Are you the type of person that, stays up late? So you had this whole questionnaire that you filled out. And I always say, I was like, damn it, I really wish I would have like saved that, because we matched on every single question except one. And I can't remember but that's how we met. That is how we met. We met on Roommate Click. He had a room for rent. I moved in. He'll tell you the minute he saw me, it was love at first sight. That was not the case for me. I just wanted to get to San Diego. I was a very focused, very focused.
So not only are you guys like the OGs of YouTube and like the OGs of podcasting, but now you're telling us you're like the OGs of online romance.
Yes. And it was a big deal. Like in that time, it was embarrassing to say you met online. Mm-hmm. Like you don't tell anyone. You don't tell anyone you met online. It was embarrassing. Yeah. And even though Roommate Click was not a dating site, it became kind for us. It was for us. But we've always lived together. Always.
That's crazy.
And yeah, it was.
So how many years have you guys been together?
So that was 2000. So what year is it? 25 years. 25 years. We got married in 2003. Okay. So we're October is our anniversary. So we were engaged for 2 years before we actually. He proposed after 5 months, and I knew instantly I wanted to marry him, and I had never experienced that with anyone. I was like, yes, let's do it. And he proposed on the beach, and he got all wet. It was so romantic, and we took the kids, and they're like, whatever. So, but California and San Diego and La Jolla, those are all places that have like a fondness in my heart, because that was the beginning of our journey. And so it wasn't until we bought our first house in Temecula, which is way more inland, but it was the only thing we could afford at the time. But that's where Mark kind of blossomed with his woodworking. And he got to a point where I was like, dude, you're doing the wrong job. And he's like, but I went to school for science. I'm like, I don't care. You're doing the wrong job. And because I was a programmer, I could just live anywhere because I just traveled when they needed me. I just traveled to the places. He started doing more woodworking and he got his first Craftsman table saw from Sears. And like I have all these old pictures I could send you as he's kind of evolving and getting into making things with his hands. And he has a very scientific brain too, and he'll say, I'm not a designer, but he is. But he has his own way of designing and producing furniture. But he's very meticulous and how he approaches it too. So when I saw that he was spending more time in the shop than with me, I was like, I think we need to try something different. And he's like, no. So I got him, his favorite woodworker was David Marks from the TV show Woodworks, which you can watch. David's been uploading a lot of his videos on YouTube. You can watch at least the first 2 seasons. I'm trying to get him to upload the rest of them and help him out there. But David he's in Santa Rosa, so he was just up north. I was like, I had so many points from all the traveling though. Like, let's just go. So he was doing classes, and so he had like, I think a 3-day workshop on inlay, and there was only 3 guys in the class. It was Mark and 2 other guys. One guy was obsessed with his machinery, not necessarily the class, but Mark was just like, and then Victoria, who's David's wife, I said, hey, can I add on a day of like a one-on-one with David? And she's like, yeah, let's see what we can do. And I think I was like the first person to ever ask that. So now that's all he does. So if you ever do, and if you can, David is amazing. And he does one-on-one. And I think you can do like by the hour or whatever, or something like that. Oh, that's cool. But he's a wood turner. He's really into like gilding and patinas and stuff like that. So Mark got to experience a master craftsman in his space. And when you go from a hobbyist to a professional, it's a hard adjustment. So Mark, I don't know if Mark talked about it, but when we first started doing Mark's Wood Creations, he worked as a hobbyist. And I was like, I need money. Like, this is not working.
Uh-huh.
And he had to go back to a Joe job. And he was doing like surveying, and he's like, oh, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. But it reminded him, and a opportunity for him came up in a refinishing shop. And the guy, his name was Cody, so nice. He just needed a part-time assistant, but it showed how Mark should be working. He was like, it showed me that I needed, like, even though I had 20 minutes, I could still get a crap ton done, which is whereas my hobby is I'm piddle over here, doing a little thing here. You just kind of,
Mm-hmm.
I love how you're looking at it. It is a mindset of when you change that.
Well, and that's one of the problems with that transition from hobbyist to professional. And I think it's a major problem with people who want their hobby to become a profession.
And sometimes you shouldn't make it your professional.
Exactly. It's because there's so many people who are makers of various sorts, whether it's woodworkers or 3D printers or artists or potters or whatever. They like, oh, I love doing this so much and it's so good for my mental health. I want to turn it into a business. But they neglect the fact that when you're a hobbyist, it doesn't matter if you spend 40 hours trying to get the perfect joint fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does matter if you're a professional because people are only willing to pay so much. Money. Yeah.
Your World of Warcraft.
And for me, like when I end up doing production runs of stuff.
Oh, you're a nerd.
I hate doing it because
it's awful.
Because
and it was
the end result isn't what I want.
Yeah.
Because I have to cut corners that nobody knows except for myself.
Yeah, and then you're super grumpy.
Yeah. You sound like Mark. So when we first moved, we moved from California to Arizona to start Mark's business, Mark's Wood Creations. That was the original business. And he was a professional woodworker. And when he first started out, so one of the pieces of advice that David Marks gave us was have as many balls in the air as you possibly can. Because, like, for instance, one ball being teaching. Teaching classes, another one being maybe wood sales, another one being just custom furniture or craft fairs or like all these different things that whatever you're wanting to do, try to have as many of them because one's going to drop and the other one might go up. And that's what we found. It was really weird because there would be times where like wood sales would go to nothing. But then we had all these teaching opportunities or speaking opportunities. And then maybe that one would drop off. And then he would have more commissioned kind of things happen. So, but it was a juggle. And we were able to do a lot of that because we had my job as a safety net. And I traveled my ass off. Like it's so funny how all this kind of goes around to what we were talking earlier about me and movies. Because I traveled so much, they didn't have in some planes they have the movie, but I was like, I don't want to watch the movie. I want my movies. And so the video iPod came out. And I was like, because before that I was tugging along one of the portable giant DVD players. But then I would get so self-conscious for the movies that might have had nude scenes in them. People watching behind me. So I was like, I just wanted to be able to look at my little movie on my iPod and rip my movies and just load it up and not have to have all these DVDs with me. And I just loved the idea of it. And so I got there's a bug. I got the iPod, the video iPod, but only because I had did a thing called I was a big tech TV. It used to be called ZD TV. I was a huge Leo Laporte fan. Technology. He has his own. It's called Twit. I grew up with Leo, and everybody on those shows were huge inspirations for me in technology. So Kevin Rose, I don't know if you're familiar who Kevin Rose is.
I don't.
He created a website called Dig. It was huge at the time, and it was basically you would submit a news article and you can thumbs up, thumbs down it, and that was groundbreaking stuff at the time. It's so funny because I'm like, I remember when there's to be.
It's weird getting older, hey?
Well, and I always say I am so fortunate that I've had a front row seat to watching technology evolved into the train wreck that it is now.
That is I like that.
And I just like, and there's times where I'll talk to Mark. I'm like, God, I kind of feel responsible for the state of things right now. Like, I don't know if this is a good thing. But yeah, I absolutely love technology. And see, so part of my epilepsy is I forget things as I'm talking. So I don't remember what we're just talking about.
That's just part of me.
Yeah, no, yeah, my epilepsy. So I just was diagnosed with epilepsy in December. And I found the funniest shirt that says, I don't remember. And it says epilepsy awareness. I was like,
so do you have like absentee seizures, or are you like
I have focal seizures. So what ended up happening was the strep A caused Sidham chorea. I know I'm saying it wrong. It's a chorea. So it's basically St. Vitus dance where you move all around, and I would do all these weird things. It's like a counterpart to rheumatic fever. So the illness crosses the blood-brain barrier.
Yeah.
Your body, your antibodies say, hey, we're going to fight your brain instead of this.
Yay.
And so it usually can affect your basal ganglia as well as your heart. So I thankfully, after 2 years of gaslighting by doctors, I found an amazing neurologist who was like, you have two things going on. You have autoimmune encephalitis, which, by the way, if you're ever curious about autoimmune encephalitis, there's a really great movie called Brain on Fire on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
And my story was definitely not her story, but it was so close that I was like, holy crap. Because I would have these wild, like, happy and then crying uncontrollably and like up and down and up and down. So I produced too many antibodies and they don't know what to do with themselves. So, and so part of all of this is getting the right treatment and stabilizing. And so I have vocal seizures sometimes. And if I talk about them, I might have them. You might hear one. It builds up right here. It's the weirdest thing.
Interesting.
But it's a grunting sound. But yeah, focal seizures. So basically, I had damage on the left side of my brain that caused everything on my right side so like I have a weird shoulder shrug that kind of does weird stuff. And so my neurologist is like, yeah, you're having focal seizures. You have epilepsy. Let's put you on this medication. And within 5 days, I was like, I feel like myself. It was like, I was like, oh my God, I have epilepsy. Like I wasn't, what? And she's like, sweetie, you've had it for a very long time. And you're really good at masking. And so the way that focal and the illness brought it to the surface more. Yeah. So they used to call me Space Cadet. I would space off. And that's, those are absent. So absent seizures or something like that.
Yeah, absentee seizures.
Like I go away for about 5 seconds and then I'll come back. But I'm always here.
Which is like super common comorbid with like autism, ADHD spectrum people. Yeah. Like so common. Yeah. Comorbidity. So the past 2 years have been a huge learning experience. I could talk your ear off about PANS. Holy crap. Because that's what my son has. And he has the opposite problem. He doesn't have
any antibodies to fight off any infections.
Ugh.
And so Missouri, we've always lived in dry climates. So when we came to Missouri, we both just got sick. Like, there's something about, it's the humidity. I'm sure it's the humidity, or it's just, but we just got sick. And it's hard. It's hard for a kid, and he's 13 and he hasn't been to school since December, and we're trying to navigate his school, helping him and accommodating him, and me try to work. So if you're listening to this and you're a special needs parent, I got you.
Yeah,
I feel you
too. You are not alone. We are dealing with
it's hard.
Our oldest has autism and all sorts of stuff to go with that. That's a lot.
And you go, and you start questioning. You're like, am I doing the right thing? Somebody has to know. Like, and then you get
unsolicited advice,
all the suggestions.
I know just what you're going through. This is what you should do.
Yeah,
you need homeopathy. Yeah, if you were just more strict. I'm like, dude, I don't want to deal with a 2-hour meltdown.
Right? Like, I don't want
to do that. Let's not do that. So
eating that food right now is not worth the rest of my night being completely shocked.
So does he have Afrid?
Not super bad. He was worse.
Yeah.
We've been trying so we've tried like a lot of like different let's just have one bite of this. All you have to do is taste it and then we can move on, right?
Girl, but you and I, we could be best friends on all of our series.
It's not like older people
to you so much.
Right? Like grandparents, they're like, he's got to clear his plate. When we were kids, we had no food. I'm like, I don't care because I will suffer for hours from this episode.
Yes.
Hello.
Oh my God. The parent
he's walking around swinging his hands back and forth. I do know that, and that's okay.
So when I got sick, I thought I had autism in the sense that I was doing the rocking. I would rock myself, and I would do a lot of things that I had never done before. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And the sensory stimulation.
Yep.
I couldn't even go outside. Like, it was just
too much.
And my nervous system, and the way that Mark explained it to me as I was navigating, he's like, your wall's down. He's like, you got to build your wall back up a little at a time. And I like Mark is just so amazing in supporting of that, and just trying to, he goes, you are the most strong woman I know, and I know you can do this. And then I'm like, I can't do it. And I just started crying. And I was like, I need, and where I'm going with this is, I had a strong aversion to therapy and medication. And
me too.
After that conversation with Mark, I drove back to Colorado. So I spent 12 hours in a car by myself, like listening. I have an Amazon playlist called Nick's Therapy Mix, full of all the songs that helped me through that time. There's one is so amazing. It's called Serotonin. But I went and I saw my doctor that had been my doctor for 7 years. And he just sat there with me for 45 minutes and talked to me. And he said, this is out of my wheelhouse, but if you were my family member, I would strongly recommend you start an SSRI. He's like, it sounds like everything is overstimulating for you right now. And I'm like, I can't. Yes. And so I'm very medically sensitive. So like, most people's therapeutic dose starts at 50. Mine starts at 25.
Yep.
So I'm like, lowest dose possible, please. And within 5 days, I was like, I feel better. Like, It was like a weird, like, I didn't know I felt better until I realized that I wasn't like crying and like having those kinds of issues. So
he's just looking like that, because I've been dealing with autoimmune we're coming up on almost 2 years.
Yeah. Oh God, we're in the same boat, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my autoimmune
started with hives, like uncontrolled hives all over my body.
I had hives during lockdown. out of nowhere.
Like so for how many months? Like 6 months? Well, they
got to give me the how many
from
months
the
for what?
start. Like how long was I on Benadryl for?
Yeah, it was October, so it wasn't quite 6 months.
6 months.
4, 5.
Of course, and all the wonderful articles that have come out that scare the total crap out of you now.
Right, but the only way I could control it was by taking 8 Benadryl and 2 Claritin a day for 5 months. And we'd take it. I tried what was the other thing they put me on? See, I can't remember.
Prednisone?
Yeah, prednisone.
But
it would only take the hive down for like 3 hours and they'd be back.
Oh my
and
God.
It was like my whole body and I'm swelling, joints hurt, and everything's pain.
Did you see a rheumatologist?
I still haven't seen a rheumatologist because we're in Canada. So too bad for me.
Yeah.
So it took me a year to even get allergy testing done. A full year to even see an allergist. I come in, I tell them my symptoms because I'm still on allergy medicine. And finally I realized that the Claritin had milk in it and I'm lactose intolerant. So that was causing other problems that I didn't know. But anyhow, so I'm going through all that. And like, I don't remember because you ate Benadryl a day, right? Like,
yes, you're not, are you sleeping all the time?
No, because I think like for me, it had like the opposite. So I'd spike up really high and I would be like, have like the zoomies like when I was a kid, like totally wired. But then I'd crash hard.
Yes.
And then it'd spike up in 4 hours when I take the next dose, right? Like it was insane.
Is this where you wanted your podcast to go? I'm sorry.
It works for me. He's just going to sit here.
Okay.
I feel like I have somebody to talk to about this.
I know. Right.
Alone.
Oh,
yeah. So it was like a year before we got any testing. And then the allergist, he's like, I don't think you're actually allergic to anything. I think this is autoimmune. And he's like, so I'm going to do these tests and I'm going to test you for histamine sensitivity.
Yeah.
And it came up like within 3 seconds of them putting the stuff on my arm. It was
histamine
there.
Yeah. Histamines are so when Mateo and I are feeling extra epilepsy, seizure-y. I don't even know how to, because we were told they were tics, like Tourette's.
Oh yeah.
For 2 years, we were both of us, and they had happened at the same time. I'm like, how do we both get Tourette's at the same time?
Yeah.
But we were both sick with strep. So it went like this. It was strep, COVID for the first time for both of us, then strep again, and then mono, Epstein-Barr virus.
Yeah, I've had mono.
In a 7-month span of time. So I think the COVID caused a lot of setbacks for us. And I'll give you my experience with a really crappy rheumatologist. Because I went in because my ankles had started hurting and my joints. And so my PCP referred me to a rheumatologist. And the one I wanted to go to wasn't available for 6 months.
Which sounds so short to us. We're like, oh wow, that'd be great.
So it was funny because I made the appointment in August and I forgot I made that appointment and it was last month. And I was like, so I called him like, I don't remember making this appointment. They're like, oh, you made it back in August. And I was like, okay, so I'll just go ahead and keep that appointment just so I can get established if I ever need to come back. But because I figured out the joint issue, I was taking omega 369 and thinking I'm not eating enough fish. I'll get some. Like 3 and 9 are anti-inflammatory. 6 is inflammatory.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, and to some extent, that's partially true. It's a lot of it has to do with the ratios of
but as soon as I stopped taking it, the joint pain went away.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that's probably because you were getting enough of the 6s already, right? And so then it's that's where we can go down all sorts of rabbit holes here.
So many rabbit holes.
That's where like it really frustrates me with people and like dietary advice, because they're all like, do this, do that, do this, and it's like, like, you want to do the paleo diet, go ahead. You want to do a vegan diet, go ahead. You want to whatever. They're all fine. But what it ultimately comes down to is getting rid of some garbage
Yes.
and eat some better food. And
what, I can't have ice cream every day?
Really?
well, I had a conversation with somebody once.
I don't eat ice cream every day.
The conversation with somebody once that they were like, "Oh, the paleo diet is the best diet in the whole world. It just saved my life, and it's the only one that works." And so I ended up talking to her about it, and asked her, "Well, what'd you eat prior to this?" And her almost daily diet was, after work she'd go get a frozen pizza and a 2 liter, so a half gallon bottle of Coke and a bag of Doritos.
Oh no!
And that was
the
her
worst.
supper. And then I was like, you could literally eat anything
else,
and you would feel better. Has nothing to do with the paleo diet and everything to do with the fact that you switched from eating pure garbage to something better.
Yeah. I look back at my younger self and I'm not going to say addicted. I really enjoyed Diet Coke. Like, I would drink one daily and it was like my thing and I really enjoyed it. And I remember growing up cycling, and I was very active when I was younger, but I would drink a lot of Diet Pepsi and a lot of Diet Coke. And as I got older, I started having stomach issues. And I was like, I guess I should probably stop drinking this.
Right.
And it was hard. It was actually really hard. But once I got a good probiotic, because I also had a bout of C. diff that caused me a crazy amount of problems. And like medical, Nicole's medical history hour here. But it all adds up. And as I was trying, for those 2 years to figure out not just my thing, but my son's thing, I had a number of books recommended to me that I listened to. One was called The Body Keeps the Score.
It's on my list. I haven't got it finished.
It's a good
book.
It's a really good book. I mean, it's not gonna solve everything, but it kind of changes your perspective in kind of not just what we put into our body, but the trauma that we have throughout our life and how we process that. And I meditate. I know Mark meditates way more than I do, but I try to meditate. So like yesterday when I was having my anxiety attack, I'm going to my therapist having an anxiety attack, and I'm like, I cannot be like this with her. And so like I did a meditation and deep box breathing. I do a number of breathing exercises. One in particular, when I'm feeling very, very anxious, is the cry breath. Have you ever
cry breath?
Okay, so have you ever seen kids when they get so upset they go?
Yeah, they're.
It is an evolutionary thing in our body to do that, to calm our nervous system down. So I will purposely do that. Sounds so not right.
No, that's totally. I get it.
But it is a way for you to kind of like shock your nervous system. And and you can't, and when you're a kid, I used to do it all the time. And I'm like, I can't stop because my nervous system is so overwhelmed that my body is trying to make me do the breaths. And so multiple breaths in, one out. Multiple breaths in, one out. So just think of a kid crying and having a tantrum.
Yeah, that is perfect.
And of course, then you got the box breathing, which, are you familiar with that one? Yeah. I love that. The problem is I can't get my son to do any of that. He refuses to do any breathing exercises. And I'm like, dude, you of all people need to do these exercises, because he just is so wound. And he's one
thing that's really important with any sort of breathing exercise, especially.
Well, we were just talking about this yesterday because we were talking about, so I was panicking over, my car died.
Oh no.
It was like super frustrating because he's still got till December when he's done and actually working, and we're not just relying on my income. And I'm like, I can't afford a car.
That's a lot of pressure.
Right. And so I was kind of having a panic attack of like for the 10th time the day. And you're like, just breathe, do your breathing. And I was like, it makes it worse.
And I think that's
Yeah, but that's what you're talking about is like I've programmed myself that I'm only doing breathing when I'm panicking, and so that it's making the panic worse. So I need to practice, like you're saying, like breathing, and doing breathing when you're meditating, so that it's
that's what I was going to say. It's important to with breathing exercises specifically is to not just do them when there is the panic attack happening,
right?
Because then they do become associated with the panic attack, and they become a panic.
I do it. I do a nightly bedtime meditation. I have an app called Simple Habit, and you can pay for like to unlock a whole bunch of other stuff. But I only use the They have a wheel, and it's for sleep, and it's can't go to sleep. And I usually put it on. You can do 5, 10, or 20. And she has the most boring voice ever. And I love her. I almost want to write her to tell her how much I love her boring voice. Because I'm out. I am out like a light. She reminds me, I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a TV show on FX with Zach Galifianakis called Buckets.
No.
It's hilarious. He wants to be a clown, and it stars Louis Anderson as his mother, and it's just wonderful. But see here, where was I going with this? What we were talking about.
We were talking about
deep breathing exercises.
Deep breathing,
doing those at the right time, and then
doing it.
Buckets wants to become a clown.
So this is part of my epilepsy.
Nighttime, the voices that put you sleep.
The voice. Okay, so the voice reminds me of this woman on this show. Her name is Martha. She just talks very, very like, it's like this. I know that's kind of hard. Oh yeah.
Out.
And that's what this woman in this app sounds like. I always think of Martha reading having a hard time going, unhook your brain. Like, it's so funny. So, but I found an amazing t-shirt last night that it says, I don't remember epilepsy awareness.
Yep.
So I've become a big proponent of to-do lists, like my reminders. I have 16 things in there to not forget to do. My calendar is just an absolute, and that's what happened. I didn't put, because we were supposed to do this on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I did not add it to my calendar. And then I was like, oh crap, I felt so bad. So
it's totally okay. If Andrew had added it to ours, I wouldn't know. And I'm really bad. Like I'm bad at adding things to it. I'll think about it and be like, oh yeah, I'll do it later. And then I don't.
Do you ever reply to somebody's text in your head?
All the time. All the time.
Yep. She'll tell me, I texted you.
Yeah, especially him. Like I'm the worst.
Like, I'll show you my phone. There is no response there whatsoever.
I'll even write it sometimes and forget to hit send.
Yes. Yeah, I'm like, this person never responded. I did it with my principal the other day. I'm like, she never responded, and this was like kind of an urgent issue. And then I'm like, oh my God, I didn't actually send that. That's great.
So really great. So part of my epilepsy is I have a hard time. I love to read. Like, I love books. I get lost in books. They were my way. I had a 2-hour bus ride to school. And before I got my really cool Walkman,
I had one of those.
I would just read. And my dad did not restrict my reading. So I was a Dean Koontz fan at a very early age, probably more so than I probably should have been. But he was like, you're reading. I don't care what you're reading, just read. So I started reading Dean Koontz. At one point I had all of his books read, and then I got in, and then Stephen King took over for me. But I can't focus the way I used to focus. So I read like hell on Audible. Like I can listen. And in fact, I feel like I retain more now because I'm rereading The Dark Tower through Audible, and I'm like, I don't remember that happening. Like,
right? I know.
So I mean, we find our tricks, and I think
Audible and I are friends, and like doing my master's right now, I couldn't get through the readings without Speechify.
Yes.
I couldn't do it. Because I couldn't.
Well, and I'm trying to keep an epilepsy journal, and I can't write. Like, I hate writing now too, and I've always hated writing. But now that I'm older, I have more control. I'm like, I don't want to write. I'm not going to write. So I found a journaling app that I just do text to speech, and that's how I do my journals every day. And then it spits it out in a PDF, and I can give it to my doctor. Like,
that's
boom.
Smart.
So, and it includes like what happened on that day in my calendar and what photos, like when I do. So in addition to my epilepsy, I have autoimmune encephalitis, which is the too many antibodies. So every 2 weeks I have a 12-hour IVIG infusion. And yeah, I kind of like it because no one bothers me for 12 hours.
12 hours. Silence. Yeah, no, I get it.
But it's like that Marge Simpson episode, or the Simpson episode where Marge goes to prison. You mean I get to go to bed at 8 and nobody's going to wake me up?
It's great. It's like, and here's the other thing. My nurse is a giant nerd. So we geek out on D&D and Star Wars and 3D printing, and like he's awesome. So I hope I never lose him, but he stays with me. He starts usually around 8 a.m. and we're done by 8 p.m.
Wow.
And so me being the movie lover I am, I'm like, I'm going to introduce you to all the wonderful things that I think are wonderful, whether you like it or not. Because guess what? This is my TV. Right. So we watched Best in Show the other day. He had never seen it. We've been watching Schitt's Creek. So I wanted to give him context. I wanted to give him context to Schitt's Creek by showing him Best in Show and kind of giving him like that relationship. So I have, even though it's a process, it helps me. I feel a little off for the first couple days after, but then I'm like this. I'm like, oh my God, I feel normal. I think I can do things. I'm pretty stable with my mood. So with my epilepsy medication and the infusions, I'm in a pretty good place. And they even say with the infusions, it takes about 3 to 6 months to really see an effect because I'm basically trying to tell my dumb antibodies to get in line.
Calm down.
Stop being a jerk. Leave my heart alone. So yeah, that's chronic. And I think for Mark, the workshop is really helpful for him to have that. I know for me, doing my hobbies, which includes 3D printing, lasering, and sometimes quilting, like what you were talking about. Oh, you should do that. You should charge. I'm like, I don't want to turn my quilting into a job. Like, nope. I had a friend, her father had passed away, and she's like, I have all of his genes. And I don't know. Them? I made her 3 gene quilts. And she's like, how much? I was like, just pay for the shipping. I don't want to. So it was just a friend that I went to high school with. So I don't, number one, part of me doesn't want to charge because I don't want to be responsible for if anything happens after. And I was like, here you go. And she's like, oh my God, I cried. Thank you so much. And it was a meaningful gift for her. And I love doing baby clothes quilts. So if you are a bit of a saver of baby things, I taught myself specifically how to do this type of quilting, t-shirt quilting, because I wanted to make my niece a quilt of all of her from birth till I think 3. So I taught myself how to make the quilt and how to do the quilt to save $1,000. Right. It was going to be so expensive. I was like, I could figure. And so here's the things. When you got ADHD, you tend to not let anything stop you.
Nope, you just go.
You just figure it out.
It's our house. Just keep going.
I just call it beating your head against a wall until you finally figure it out. And that's honestly, that's been my whole MO in life. You just kind of keep doing it. You keep at it. Eventually it will go through.
Yeah. The problem is when you get ADHD and perfectionism stuck in the same loop, and then you're really in trouble. But anyway,
the things never get finished.
I'm not that
true.
See, I am done is better than perfect kind of person. So,
well, I think I'm perfectionist and a little bit on the slightly more autistic than ADHD, but I'm still combo. I definitely have both.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's the thing. I hope it gets more destigmatized. Like it's okay,
because then you can mask up.
Yeah,
and be around people and go.
And
that's okay.
Coping strategies. And I have these things, my little earbuds that I take with me whenever I go anywhere loud. I'm like, you don't, and I have long hair. You can't even see it. Are we
have some for our son and for me.
Oh my God. I think we should probably, it's been an hour and a half. We should probably wrap up a little bit.
Only get like 20 minutes. Oops, sorry.
No, it's been enjoyable. I had a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
Specific ones. Number 2, what you talked a little bit about you and Mark, you do the meditation thing. Is there any other strategies that you do, being the wildly successful internet entrepreneurs that you are?
Goodness.
What are some, like, meditation? Are there any other things that specifically you do to just kind of deal with the day-to-day stress of being business owners and content creators, all that type of stuff?
So I will be honest with you. Mark is the doomsday. I am no, we can do it. We are a yin and yang for sure. Because I'm like, he's like, our business is failing. No one's ever going to hire us. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no. Let's do this. Like because of my love of anything new, usually you get the classification of, oh, you're old, you're stuck in the 80s, or, you kind of, you lock into wherever you were when you were a teenager. I don't feel that way. I actually get very excited. Like, I love AI. I love it so much.
I do too.
But it's so great, especially for a brain like mine that has the thought. I can put together the thought. I just don't do so great with the grammar part.
Yeah, it's been game changer for our son. He loves it.
It's huge. Oh my God. And so when I hear a teacher getting upset at a student for using, I go, guess what? Is just like we got yelled at about having a calculator in our pocket with math.
Right?
Like,
you're not going to have a calculator.
I do.
Really?
I do have a calculator in my pocket.
I thought the same thing. No, I teach my kids at school to use AI. I'm like, let's learn how to get the thoughts and use it properly, because you're going to have it. So
it's a great brainstorming.
It's amazing.
And I mean, it can be used incorrectly, of course, like anything. But if used correctly, if used to assist, and that's honestly been one of Mark and I, we had a pretty, I wouldn't say a big blow up about it, but because I'm like, I'm all about it. And he's like, that doesn't sound like us. I'm like, we're a business. It's fine. He doesn't sound like me. I'm like, you don't have to touch everything. Like, it gets to a point where when you grow as a business, we try to stay small. We try to stay lean because we want that authentic self to come through to our audience, where I'm not going to name any names because I wouldn't even know who to name, but I know for a fact that there are, channels out there that it's all algorithm. There's no heart to it. Yeah. They're gaming that machine, and we're like, we're over here trying to actually build community, connect with people, encourage people. Like, honestly, it goes back to the class that we took from David Marks and Victoria, and how they made us feel, and how and it's why we did for the first time ever in-person classes in the shop. Mark was a ball of nerves, so I don't know if we're ever going to do it again. Maybe we should have spaced him out. But I'm an introvert extrovert. I'm more extroverted than introverted, but I do have my introverted side. I love putting faces and names together and connecting with those people and knowing them and knowing their story and hearing. And that's why when you reached out, I'm like, heck yeah, I haven't been on a podcast in forever. I would love it. I wanted to meet your lovely wife. And so, you know, it's hard to run a business as a married couple, because you tend to have the ones going, everything's doomsday. And I'm like, no, we're fine. Yeah. And so there's times where I'm like, we're fine and we're not fine. And I'm like, we'll figure it out. So, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing though, is like when there's two of you.
Yeah.
And you are that opposite end of the spectrum. You merge into one normal person.
That's what we say we are. We're like, between the two of us, we're a normal person.
Yes.
And then everything kind of balances out. And then, to be honest, that's one of the reasons, like, speaking of other channels.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons I think I've been following the Wood Whisperer since, I don't know, I think you guys were in, like, maybe even in the sub hundreds, right? Like,
a long
time.
Yeah.
And I've been a guild member for a long time.
October of 2006. And there was a period of time that Mark got really pissed off at everyone on YouTube. So he would like not post to YouTube. So when I started working for the business, it was my job to go back through the catalog and find the 70 plus videos that he just decided not to post on YouTube because it was pissing him off.
Sounds about right. Or that's someone else I know.
Yeah. So I mean,
we both followed you guys for a long time, because I liked the videos when you came on. I was like, oh, I'll watch that with you.
Well, and
it took,
and because of the authenticity, because of your authenticity, that's one of the reasons why I'm still following you. There's so many other channels that that just chase an algorithm, and the thumbnail.
And sometimes I look at those numbers and I go, have you ever watched a documentary called Fake Famous? It's on HBO. There's times where I go, you can buy views, you can buy comments, and it all, because I'm just like, what? I don't understand this one.
Yeah.
Like this feels weird.
Wrong. Yep.
Right? And and it's my vibe. I have a vibe thing that you probably do too.
Yep. Yes, I do.
And I'm
exactly
like,
what you're talking about.
I go, the vibe's off. So it wouldn't put it past me that there are channels out there that do those kinds of things, because it's in the platform's interest to have those numbers, to have those bots, to have that engagement. And have you ever heard of the dead internet theory?
No.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah. No. So look it up. So it basically theorizes that eventually the internet will just be bots talking to each other, and that all the real people have left.
We've just moved on.
We're like, we're done. We're not doing this anymore. We're not engaging. We're not doing it.
Yeah, interesting.
And when you look at like and that's what's so hard about news. It's so polarizing. I don't watch news.
Nope. I don't either.
I have a few Instagrams that I sometimes watch, and Mark always makes fun of me because I love John Oliver, and that's how I get my news. And I just, it is what it is. I like funny. I need, Agreed. Like when I watch a scary show, I need a comedy chaser. Like, give me something intense, then give me a comedy chaser. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, with the state of everything, online, it's hard to know who to follow. It's hard to know who to trust. And that is the one thing I like doing our morning show, because it shows we're real people, and we lose subscribers all the time when we do that morning show. But I'm like, I don't care, because I'm keeping the real people. Like, I'd rather talk to 1,000 real people who are engaged and want to support us, than 10,000 bots or, people that are just not into it. So that's kind of, where we are with that.
Well, we should
Did I answer the question? I don't even know what the question was.
You did. Yes.
You did. Mostly, but we're all good. We should probably head over to the after show.
Do you have a question for me there?
Yep. That this is the teaser. I'll have one question for you in the after show.
All right.
And then, everybody will automatically want to run over to Patreon and sign up.
I'm going to tell everybody they need to listen to you guys, because I don't think mental health is talked about enough. I also think that workshop, like any type of activity, whether it be woodworking, carving, crafting, makerspace, I think it's good. It's not necessarily therapy. It's good self-care.
Well, but that's where, like going back to earlier conversation about play therapy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say that I'm actually doing a couple seminars in that recently, and I've just been wondering how much of the workshop is play therapy for adults. Right. And that's where I hesitate when people, I want to turn it into a business. I'm like, no, you don't actually.
About it first.
Yeah.
Maybe you do, but maybe you just want to keep playing in your shop, and that's 100% okay.
Yeah. And it's the world or the algorithm that's trying to tell you to turn it into a business.
Exactly.
And sometimes people need to hear a hobby can be just a hobby, and that's okay.
Yep.
And I don't think
you can blow your money on random stuff. If you want to buy Festool tools because you want to buy Festool tools, go ahead. Don't go into debt to do it, but go ahead.
But I can
on
tell
that
you,
bombshell.
Okay.
Yeah.
The after show.
Onto the
We're going to the after show.
Okay.
Because I have thoughts.
Do we have to be quiet for a minute for the after show thing?
Well, not a minute, but a couple seconds probably wouldn't hurt. So here's the Patreon plug for today. If you've ever been on the fence, or if you were currently on the fence about joining Patreon, today's episode is probably the one you want to jump on, because there is almost a full extra hour of content with the pre-show and the post-show. Nicole was a fabulous guest, and we really enjoyed having her on. And I would say that the post-show was probably actually more entertaining than the rest of the show. So if you've been hesitant, jump onto Patreon, sign up one of the levels there. The second level gets you access to the post-show and to the pre-show, and it's only $5 a month. And we really appreciate the support. So with that, a huge thank you to the founding fathers especially, and all the other Patreon members. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in, and please share the show.